I was wrestling with, at the time, I graduated, gosh, in 75, a long time ago now. And I just didn't want to enter the workforce. That sounded to me like death by a thousand cuts, you know? So I ended up becoming kind of latched on to a Peace Corps and applied and went through that process and was given the opportunity to go spend a couple of years in the middle of Africa, actually in the Congo, you know, Heart of Darkness, Stanley meets Livingston kind of stuff. And even better, Peace Corps was going to give me a motorcycle and all the gasoline I could consume to teach farmers how to raise fish. Back in those days, I graduated with a biology degree and I spoke French. So I thought, wow, this is going to be really cool. I'll be out middle of nowhere, working with small farmers, using my degree, blasting around the countryside and places, part of the world I was really intrigued in, as a Peace Corps volunteer, helping people out. Well, 2 years turned into 7, not all of it with Peace Corps, but all of it in fish culture.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, half of that was really working with villagers and small farmers who had nothing, maybe land and some water. The other half was a little more on the training and teaching side. But, you know, it was the opportunity to work with people who had so little and who had such upside potential to really change their lives, make their families healthier and wealthier at the same time. That really kind of drove me. But, you know, to kind of bring it full circle, one of the things I learned about myself through that 7-year journey was that I was way better at the business side of things than I was at the scientific side of things. So in part because the last couple of years there, I was renovating a research facility and hiring people and marketing. And, you know, I was doing all kinds of kind of basic business stuff. So I learned that about myself, that the science was kind of fun and kind of cool, but I really thrived on the business aspects. And came back to the country, got an MBA and had a long career, and that kind of brings us current.
But even when you came back, I know that we've had conversations about Habitat for Humanity, and that's a big component of kind of who you are, what you do. Can you share a little bit about that generosity story?
Yeah, I think it comes from kind of the same place, which was, you know, I mean, poverty is a terrible thing, right? And in any country, it's a terrible thing, and it really robs people of their potential. And I couldn't necessarily help people raise fish here, but one of the things I really found really intriguing was Habitat, the helping defeat the challenge of homelessness.
Mm-hmm.
And we also know there's so much data out there that says people who own homes have healthier families. They have families who do better in school. Their kids do better in school, for example. They have a higher graduation rate from high school if they're in a home versus an apartment, for example. So there's a lot of societal benefits to housing that, you know, Habitat helped with. And of course, Habitat does a lot of work all over the world, including Africa. So I thought it's always been to me kind of a neat thing to help people overcome you know, homelessness and land them in a really good home. It's well built, low cost to operate, and give them all the advantages that home ownership gives them, not just the financial advantages that we think about, but the education and societal ones as well.
So when you're working and, you know, you're out there, you know, in that environment, giving your time, not having to, not getting anything back, really, not expecting anything, but you're helping. How do you feel about that? What triggers your heart there?
Gosh. I mean, you know, I could say probably a lot of obvious things, right? That it's there's satisfaction there, there's pride, there's an increase in my self-esteem because I'm able to help people in a way that they may not have been able to help themselves, leave them something lasting, right? That's one of the other reasons I loved working with Habitat, because we always said it was not a handout.
It's a hand up.
It was a hand up, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't know this, but the owners of these homes put a down payment on the home. They have to invest hundreds of hours of their own time in helping to build the home. It's not free for them. It's not a giveaway, right? They have a pretty significant investment in it. It was the same in Peace Corps. We weren't giving people fish, right? We're teaching people how to fish. The old Chinese adage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Give a man a fish he eats for a day, teach him to fish he eats forever. So I'm really big into that kind of model of generosity where I don't like to just give stuff. I like to create capability.
From a gap and a gain standpoint, Dan Sullivan's book, you were sharing a little bit about, earlier anyways, about how happy people in Africa were, even though they didn't have much.
Yeah, I was always so intrigued and kind of blown away by that. And again, my data is not scientific that way, but what struck me when I was working over there with villagers was how satisfied, maybe accepting, but satisfied most of them were with their lives. And they had much less than we do. And that's the part that I had a hard time fathoming, right? Standard of living there is very low. No electricity, no running water, schools are tough, people are poor, hard to get. Most people wake up every day and they literally do not know what they're going to eat that day. Imagine living that way every day. And yet they were gracious, loved to have fun, loved to dance, welcome you to their home, took good care of their families, took care of the members of their families who probably didn't deserve that kind of care. They're just very gracious people. And it just always struck me that they were really living in the game. They were very focused on what they could accomplish, little steps, getting little things done, moving forward, while most of us Americans live in the gap, right? We live in the world where we're trying to get more of whatever it is. We're after things. We tie our success to it, our happiness to it. We're exposed to the gap every day through media and social media. It's hard on us. And so we're not necessarily as satisfied, even though we have a lot more to be thankful for. We're not necessarily as satisfied with things, and that just has always stuck with me.